Alright, so next we're going to do a little bit of review, and then we're going to look closer at how to arrange layers and some of the different layer options we have. So the first thing you need to do is you need to open a file. So I am going to actually go to Bridge. Alright, and I am going to open, and from Chapter 3, I am going to select 3B PSD. Alright, so once you have that file open, let's take a look at a few things. Notice first that we have a blank background layer. We have a blank fill layer. Then we have our pixel base layer, our image. We have a levels adjustment layer above that. A shape layer here with the ellipse, and then a text layer for the your text here. So we're going to do a few things right quick. First of all, go ahead and save this, Command Shift S or Control Shift S, and this is going to be 3B, and then just type in your last name. My last name is Jean, so I'm going to type in Jean, and then I'm going to click Save. And now that is going to be in that same Chapter 3 folder. Remember back in Chapter 1 when you were learning how to place guides and to do grids, etc. I want you to place a guide on the vertical 1/2 inch on each side, the right and the left, and on the horizontal 1 inch on the top and the bottom. So again, to create a guide, all you have to do is come up here in your ruler, click, and drag down. So I'm dragging down, I'm going down here. This is an 8.5 by 11 inch document. So the 1 inch margin at the bottom will be number 10. So I can look over here and see that my guideline is on the 10 inch line. Go ahead up here to the ruler, click and drag down to the 1 inch marker. There we go. And now I wanted on the left and the right vertical guides at the 1/2 inch line from the edge of the document. So 1/2 inch from the left would be at 1/2 inch. And from the right, since it's an 8.5 inch document, would be on the 8. And so now you'll see that I have my guides showing exactly where they should be. Once again, that's 1 inch from the top and the bottom, and 1/2 inch from the right and the left. Now, the next thing I would like for you to do is to select the text in the ellipse. Remember, you can do that a couple of different ways. You can select your text tool and then click on the text. You can double click in the text thumbnail over in the layers panel. Either way, I double click in the layer and it highlights the text for me. I would like for you to type in the word flower and then select your move tool. Now, you're going to see the word flower is left justified, and we're going to want that to be centered. So I'm going to select my text tool, and you'll see that I then have all of my text options across the top. When I select the center option, you'll see that I move flower over a little more. I'm going to select my move tool, and I am going to drag flower just to the right until I see the fuchsia guideline showing that I'm centered appear, and then I am going to release, and that will show that the word flower is now centered. Now, let's go ahead and select the text tool again, and we'll see that the word flower is set to a size 36 font of Arial Bold. Select the font of your choice and change it from Arial Bold to another font. So I am going to select something a little more graphic. You, once again, can select the font of your choice. This to me says spring, so I want something kind of fun and feminine. So let me see what Callisto Italic looks like. There we go. Once you have modified your text, next what you will be doing is creating another text layer. So go ahead and select the text tool, and you can just click right on the top of that 1 inch from the bottom grid line that you had posted. What you're going to type is your first initial, period, space, last name. Now, because I have black selected as my font color, it's blending into the background. And so I'm going to highlight my text. So I clicked and dragged over my text, and I'm going to come up here where the text color box is at the top in the control panel, and I'm going to click to select that. And I want a yellow color because this is a darkish background right here where my font is. And so I'm going to select a nice yellow. Once you have a color selected, select OK, and then select your Move tool. And you're going to move your name over to the right where the two lines intersect. You want that last letter of your last name to be right up against those two grid lines. Now, you can select whatever font you want for your first initial last name. However, you need to have it be a size 18 font. So go ahead, select your first initial last name, go up to the top, and select 18 to be your font size. Now I'm going to select my Move tool again, and I'm going to move that over to where the last letter of my last name is right there in the corner of my two guidelines. Now the next thing we're going to do is we are going to rename a couple of these layers that we have already. Now our flower text layer, if you'll look to the right in your layer panel, you'll see that it just says text layer. And we want to rename that flower. So click on the words text layer right here, double click to select, and then just type in flower. Click off, and that is how easy it is to rename a layer. Next, we're going to add a shape layer. And so go ahead and select the layer at the top of the stack, should be your first initial last name text layer. And then go to the left, and on your toolbar, you're going to go to your shapes, and you're going to go down and select Custom Shape Tool. Once you have the Custom Shape Tool selected, you can look across the top, and you're going to see where you can have a stroke, fill color, size, everything, all the different options. You're going to select the Shape drop-down menu, and we're going to create the copyright sign. So once you have the copyright sign, the C with the circle around it selected, Then what you need to do is just click on your document and Create Custom Shape panel will pop up. Now, if you make a mistake and click and drag, you'll be actually creating that custom shape. You do not want to do that because you don't have the control over the sizing that you want for this assignment. But if you're just creating one and kind of eyeballing it, then clicking and dragging is an acceptable way. Just for this assignment, what you will need to do is click once on the desktop so that panel opens. So I'm going to hit Command or Control Z, and that is undo. That undoes the last thing that I had just done. And then I'm going to just click once on my image, and the custom shape panel opens. And I am going to make this 125 pixels by 125 pixels. Then I am going to click on the From Center, and then I'm going to select OK. And you'll see that down here where I had clicked, my copyright sign appears. Now, if you do not like the color that your copyright sign is, then you can select whatever fill color you would like for it to be by clicking in the fill box at the top of the control panel and selecting whatever color you prefer. I am going to stick with yellow since it matches my name. I'm going to select the Move tool. And I want my copyright sign, it's larger than what my name appears. I want it to be centered on this guideline down here at the bottom. So you're going to center it on that. And so I am going to bring it down. And the next thing you're going to do is adjust the opacity, because you don't want the viewer's eye to come straight down and see the copyright sign or your name. And so we're going to reduce the opacity of the name text layer and the copyright shape layer to 50%. Over here in the Layers panel, my copyright symbol layer is already selected. I am going to go up to the opacity and drag my slider to the left until I see 50%. Now I'm going to select my first initial last name text layer, and I am going to do the same thing. I am going to set my opacity to 50%. So I'm going to click, and I can just click in the opacity box and type in 50 and hit enter, and it will do it automatically for me. One more thing to do. We're going to rename that shape layer. The copyright shape layer needs to be renamed copyright. So click on that and double click on the word shape and just type in copyright, C-O-P-Y-R-I-G-H-T. Then if you hit enter, your name is saved. Go ahead and save your changes. Earlier you named this with 3B and then your last name .psd. All you have to do now to save your changes is hit Command or Control S, and your changes are then saved. Okay, so let's look at our layer panel again right quick. Looking at this thumbnail, when you see the corner cut out like this with this little square box, that means this is a smart layer. So that's a smart shape right there. Now, the text layer has a T over here where the thumbnail is. An adjustment layer, you're going to see the symbol for with whatever adjustment that you have selected. This is the levels adjustment. See how it matches what that icon is up here in the adjustment panel. Then I have a little mask window and it's labeled levels 1, showing that that's a levels adjustment layer. Below that, I have my flower image label. Below that, I have my pixel-based image layer. Below that, I have an empty fill layer. And below that, I have my beginning background layer, which is blank. Now, to select a layer, all you have to do is click on that layer within the Layers panel, and that makes that layer the active layer. To turn the layer on and off, all I have to do is click on the little eye symbol to the left of the layer, and I can sort the layers in a couple of different ways. The easiest way is right up here at the top. If I click this little picture button, it will filter for only pixel layers. And then to release that, all I do is click the button again. If I want to filter for just adjustment layers, I can click this circle that's half filled with white and half filled with black, and it will show me just the adjustment layers. Click that button again to release that. To see just the text layers, I can click the T button at the top and it will filter and show me just the text layers. Again, to the right, shape layers, all I have to do is click the shape layer button. It will filter the shape layers. Click again to release that, and then to the far right, I can filter for smart objects, and I don't have any smart objects. When you only have very few layers, it may seem nonsensical to have to use these buttons, but sometimes you can have as many as 50 different layers on a Photoshop document. And so the ability to be able to just find just your text layers or just your image layers or your shape layers is really of great benefit and can save you a lot of time. Also, naming your layers will help you to be able to locate them faster as well. To the left of these buttons, you'll see there's a drop-down menu where you can select how you would like to filter the different layers. And so you can select name, and then if I wanted to, I could type over here and I could type in flower. And you see where it goes straight to that text layer, that type layer that we had named flower. So if you know what your layers are named, if you have a standard naming convention, you can save yourself a lot of time. You can also sort in the drop-down menu by effect. Let's say I want to see all the layers that I've applied a bevel and emboss effect, or a shadow, or a glow. I can do so here. Below that is mode. These are blending modes. So I can look and see if I've applied a pin light blending mode to any of the layers in this image, and I have not, so none show up. But that's what mode is. Attribute, that's visible, locked, linked, clipped, things with layer masks, etc. I can go through and I can sort by attributes. Sort by color. You can label your layers with assigned colors. If you want all of your text layers or everything that has to do with a specific subject matter to be labeled red, then you can go through and do so. And then you can sort by those colors here. Smart objects and selected. So a lot of options for sorting different layers. Now let's create a new layer. Down here in the lower right hand corner, is the Create a New Layer button. Prior to hitting this button, I would like for you to select your copyright layer because we want our new layer to be created at the top of that copyright layer. So select the copyright layer and then select the Create New Layer button. You'll see that this is a transparent, empty layer by the fact that there's nothing in there and we have this little gray and white grid showing. That shows transparency. Now that you've created that layer, let's go ahead and add something. I want you to add a rectangle that is the size of the inner part of the grid. So, first step, you're going to select your rectangle tool. Next, click in the upper left corner and drag down to the lower right hand corner where your guides intersect, and whatever color you have selected is going to fill your rectangle. Now to change that color, you're going to click at the top up here in the fill box and select a solid color. You'll see you want to match it tonally with what's going on in the image. While this is a good green color, it's pretty, it does not match the tonality of the image that I have. So I want something that has a bit more yellow. Now, what if these color swatches, none of them match? They're just off just a little bit, all of them. What you can do is you can click up here in the right hand corner in the color picker panel, and you can select a color over here in the color picker panel, or your eyedropper appears if you move your mouse over your image, and you can select a color straight out of your image by clicking on different areas. Okay, once you have a color that you like, select OK, and you will see that your rectangle changes color to match. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to move the rectangle down in the layers panel. So you're going to click to select the rectangle layer and drag down, and you can see that line that appears when you were arranging the layers down, and we're going to pull that all the way down below our image layer. And what happens then? It disappears. We want to see our rectangle, so we're going to drag it up one layer to where it's right above our pixel-based image layer. So go ahead and we place it above the image layer, and what we see happening now is that the picture is covered up, but we can see our shape and type layer which are above that.